What does it take to become a legend in the lands between? Some say the Tarnished who have come closest to becoming Elden Lord are worthy of this status. Others see the bearers of the Elden Ring themselves as the only true legends. Still more believe that those who challenge the demigods of the lands between and decimate them, taking their runes for themselves, become legends in their own right. Today we want to focus on one such legend of the lands between. An eccentric warrior who built his legacy through sheer domination, facing down the strongest enemies he could find in a bid for power. His iron will drove him to journey the lands between in search of glory, and through his struggles, he attained it, now sitting in a place of infamy. Today, we will finally unravel his story, and you will all learn the secret truth of the fiercest Tarnished. Big Booty. Speaking of big booties, if you're looking for a throne fit for an Elden Lord, you should check out this month's sponsor, Noble Chairs. These premium gaming and office chairs come in various styles, like their Legend Series, Hero Series, Icon Series, and more. The Hero Series in particular has many different special edition styles related to various games, including the only Elden Ring gaming chair I've been able to find anywhere. The beautifully detailed logo and gold accents really capture the vibe of Elden Ring, and the symbol adorning the back of the chair depicts the incantations of the Crucible and ancient Erdtree. The quality of my Hero Series Noble chair is so high I know it will stand up to daily use, as well as my toddler climbing up and down whenever she gets the chance. The convenient backrest locking function and movement options help me to find the perfect positions for writing and gaming. Personally, I've always been a broad guy, and that can make it hard to find a comfortable position for my arms, but with the Hero Series 4D armrests, I can adjust them however I'd like, perfectly contoured to my comfort. Between the sheer quality of these chairs and the option of an Elden Ring design, this is the perfect seat for any Elden Ring fan, so follow the link below to secure your own Elden Throne. Our story begins when Big Booty first followed the call of grace back to the lands between. He was a vain man who took particular pride in his physique, and upon entering the lands between, he was taken aback by the sheer size of the people living within.
Actually, that is incorrect. You see, Big Booty wasn't a vain man per se. Rather, he was infatuated with a particular part of the body, and in his eyes, the bigger the better.
Unable to let his pride go, he faced off against Limgrave's tree sentinel, and sustained numerous injuries, barely escaping with his life. He did not yet understand the call of grace, and the mission of the Tarnished. All he knew was that he needed to find a place where he could rest after his battle, and recover from his encounter with the massive tree sentinel.
Kind of true. You see, unable to fully grasp the large backside of both the sentinel and his steed, Big Booty stared in awe, distracted by their glory, the main reason why he lost the battle.
That's very interesting. He found a path around the mountains that led him to a small church, where a man named Tope sat in what seemed to be relative safety. While recovering here, Big Booty learned the history of the Albinaurics, the way their legs would fade away into nothing until the creation of their second generation, which sacrificed their human appearance in exchange for mobility. This gave him an idea, a way to protect his beautiful form and exceptional backside from the dangers lurking across the lands between.
Now we're fucking talking.
The Albinauric mask tells us it is made from the largely unaltered hide of a young Albinauric. A far cry from Godskin, this Albinauric hide mask is the product of malicious mockery. It would seem Big Booty was the first to skin an Albinauric and use its hide for what he believed were magical purposes. While this practice would turn to mockery by those who persecuted these man-made life forms, Big Booty intended to assimilate their inhuman physiology into himself, much like the Godskins, in order to protect his lower half from harm. Now that he had a layer of what he believed was divine protection between himself and the demigods, he began his hunt, not to take their great runes, but to prove his superiority over them.
Okay, no notes there.
In their time together, Topes told Big Booty about the land of Caelid and the Radahn Festival, which he took particular interest in. A festival of battle where he could not only face off against the legendary Radahn himself, but compare his skills to those of other warriors across the lands between. this was a challenge he relished.
And most importantly, the backside of a horse was involved, so Big Booty's chances of acquiring the ultimate badunkadunk were rising.
However, after trekking his way through these fetid lands and coming to Castle Redmane, he found he was too early for the festival.
Fetish lands? Did you say fetish lands?
That depends on what you're into. Now would you please stop interrupting?
Sorry.
Preparations were still underway, and it seemed he must wait for his chance to do battle with this demigod. Fortunately for him, Witch Hunter Jaren found his use of the Albinauric mask amusing, and took it upon himself to teach this eccentric Tarnished about the glory of Radahn and the Golden Order before the Shattering. Big Booty took particular interest in the story of Malekith, the Black Blade, the keeper of the Rune of Death. According to Jaren, it was said that when facing Malekith, champions knew what was at stake. Indeed, that is what made them champions.
The thicker the stake, the thicker the booty.
In order to show his enemies that he would be the bringer of their deaths, he decided to craft himself in the image of this fierce warrior, spending his time at Castle Redmane making an approximation of Malekith's armor to wear for himself. Once this was done, he decided that to truly strike fear into the hearts of the demigods, he needed a weapon that would help him to stand out, something unique and powerful that would show his enemies he was a force to be reckoned with. His blade would only work to a point, and the sheer power he would be up against would not yield to cuts for very long. It was with this mission in mind that he set out from Castle Redmane, but not before being presented with his own pair of eccentric pants from Jaren, a token of their time together, and a remembrance of the friend he made in search of battle.
As well as a perfect opportunity for him to show off the goods. I mean, just look at that.
After hearing tales of the recusants from a young lady with terrible posture, he found his way to the Altus Plateau and joined their ranks. He believed that by hunting other Tarnished, he could survey the weapons used by them and possibly take what he needed from their corpses. While on the hunt for his targets, Big Booty found himself in Lanedale, where he encountered the Oracle Envoys. The first time he saw their horns in battle and experienced the sting of their bubbles, he knew this was the weapon he was seeking.
You ever notice how bottom-heavy the Oracle Envoys are? I mean, I'm not trying to get too weird or anything, I'm just saying, like, it can put thoughts in your head, that's all.
Okay. The Envoy's long horn is the long golden horn of the Oracle Envoys. Profoundly weighty, its blows are sure to be felt. Originally an instrument, but one that cannot be sounded by a mere human, or perhaps it was too early to sound the call. Maybe it was because of the Albinauric mask, which denoted Big Booty as someone more than human. Or maybe the horn itself saw the potential in this Tarnished and decided it was time to sound the call. But when he put the instrument to his lips, he too was able to blow the magical bubbles of the Oracle Envoys. With this weapon in hand, he turned his attention to the leader of the recusants, Praetor Rykard.
Long story short, a lot of junk in the trunk can yield a long horn.
Come on, man. After being summoned to meet with Rykard, Big Booty refused the offer to devour the gods.
Together!
Okay, shut up.
Sorry.
And instead brought Rykard to his knees with the power of his trumpet. The battle won, Big Booty also saw the potential in Rykard's blasphemous blade, a weapon worthy of his mission, and a way to carry the family of recusants he found with him through the land. From here, Big Booty made his way across the lands between, tearing down the demigods and taking their hides as trophies. One by one, each of these massive foes fell to his trumpet. He walked the path of Elden Lord with no understanding as to what it meant to take the throne. He lived for the battle and the thrill of defeating the demigods and proving his superiority. His journey took him all the way to Far Mazula, where he would even do battle with Lord Placidusax, again slaying his foe with the help of his trusty trumpet. Some say you can still hear his curses and cries of frustration when walking the eternally crumbling city. Nothing stood in his way as he carved a path of bubbles through the lands between. Big Booty would slay every foe that stood before him, eventually standing face to face with Lord Godfrey himself. He would then prove himself to even the first Elden Lord, and proceed to face Radagon and the Elden Beast. Finally, he had proven his booty was the most glorious of all, and he stood before Queen Marika, ready to repair the Elden Ring and take his rightful place as Elden Lord. But something did not sit right with this eccentric warrior. If he took the throne, the struggle was over.
My only concern, his only concern, about said throne, was that his gargantuan rump would not fit upon the seat.
Look, we're almost done. Can I just finish this? Please? Can I finish this?
Only if you do so correctly. This stuff is essential.
If he took the throne, he'd command the lands between as its ruler. The excitement and the rush of battle would be over. He'd be resigned to a life as a sovereign. So in an act of defiance to the Golden Order, unlike any the lands between had ever seen, he left the Elden Ring fractured.
So there was a crack in it.
And began a new journey, putting the lands between behind him.
Come on, you're literally setting me up.
Somewhere out there was a battle he could not win, a foe to test his strength against, and he would find them.
Unfortunately, the hardest foe to be fought was a samurai with a small booty that has absolutely nothing to do with this game, unless you're one of those people who is convinced Sekiro is the land of reeds.
It's not. We hope you enjoyed this exploration of the story of Big Booty, the fiercest Tarnished to ever walk the lands between. What do you think of this eccentric warrior? Do you believe you could beat him in a one-on-one battle?
They couldn't.
You probably could. He doesn't do PvP.
Doesn't matter, still couldn't.
This goes without saying, but if you've made it to the end of this video, happy April Fool's Day. It was fun writing a backstory to our channel's Big Booty Boss Battle series, and we hope you're not too disappointed by us having a little fun with the holiday. We promise we'll be back to our regular lore dives moving forward. Thank you for joining us for Elden Fools, and we'll see you next time for a real episode of Elden Lore.